is there the most assets you've ever had on an operation?
Man, yeah, that was the most assets I've had is probably '09 in Mosul, where we would go out and I would just have a stack of aircraft. And I'm talking everything from AC-130, A-10s, Super Hornets, Vipers, and there's some swap out in there. We'd have some Little Birds sometimes. And it's just going up and up and up to include the half assets that we were flying in on.
Half assets? I'm trying to be as unprofessional as possible.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I need that.
Yeah. How do you keep track of all that? Like, is it handwritten?
Yeah.
Just like on a notepad. So you're like, oh, I've got this asset. These are the munitions it has. And you're just like, and then what, like a radio frequency next to it? Or because they're not all on the same, or are they?
Most of them, I put them all on the same. Okay. Like everybody's kind of got a different technique, but I put them all on the same. So I'll usually keep my ISR assets on one with the Assault Force Commander or Assault Force Sergeant Major. That way we have, they can, if they need to, usually I will, but they can, if they want to check something out, especially because it's ISR, they can take that pod and say, hey, go check this out for me. Whereas all my strike assets are all on one freak, and usually ISR has enough radios that they can also monitor that. And you got to think when you're going to go hit a big objective, you usually get a lot of squirters coming out, right? Yeah. So you got to start sectoring squirters and start telling, all right, Hog, Viper, you've got, sector north for any kind of squirters. And then as soon as squirters start hitting or exiting the building, you'll see IR pointers coming down from the sky. Yeah. Some are pulsing, some are steady. And there's just all these eyes and all these lasers coming down. You're like, all right, cool. And then you'll start going after it.
Wow. So for you, how many radios are you typically carrying?
2.
And will it be like you have ISR on one radio and strike on the other?
Yeah, and then I'll also have like the kind of assault freak.
How are you having a switch? Mm-hmm. So like there's times where you're not on, like if you're talking to ISR, then you can't be talking to.
Right. So my strike, especially if I'm talking a lot, which usually whenever we're doing an offset to a target, like as soon as I hit the ground, I'm kind of nonstop talking on my strike freak. That one never leaves, but I can set up my other radio to where I can set a priority to where I can, as soon as I key up, it's always going to go to that, or it can do a scan of a couple different frequencies. Like I usually do 2 or 3 different frequencies so that I have an idea what's going on. And if the radio detects that something's being said on it, it'll jump to that frequency. But then if I have to key up, I have a certain amount of time to hit the button to be able to talk on that frequency to respond to somebody. So, it only takes a week from being over there before you're switched on, like you are locked in.
Because it sounds confusing as fuck to
me.
It
is.
And now, granted, I'm not a JTAC. I haven't been through any of the comm schools. It's going to sound like a dumb question, but there's no doubt some of the listeners are probably thinking it if I'm thinking it. Do you have fucking multiple headsets? Like, are you looking like DJ Jazzy Jeff back there, fucking switching headsets? Or nope. So how do you move from radio to radio on one headset?
Well, so it's got two cables.
So one side is one radio, one side's the other.
Yeah.
Are there times where they're fucking talking at the same time and it's like your parents yelling at you?
Yep. which is a lot of times, for anybody that's out there that has been on the other side of that, you're like, dude, what is this guy doing? Because I'm not hearing anything on there. It's because I'm busy talking to this dude.
Yeah.
And then I'll come back and then a lot of times that's why you'll hear say again a lot, because you're like, dude, I know somebody just said something. Who was that?
Yeah.
Like, okay, I copy what you said. I just need to know who it was.
Yeah.
And then I've got a notebook. Because I'm deconflicting aircraft as well, because I want to make sure that I don't run anybody into each other.
Yeah.
Plus, if we are going to go kinetic, I got to make sure that, everybody's out of the way so that there's not bombs or guns or bullets flowing through people.
Yeah. Man, that's there's so much going on and to keep track of. Have you ever lost your book when you've got assets? Like, what would happen if that happened? A, has it ever happened? B, what would happen if that did?
It's never happened, but I'd probably, like, as long as we could go back and go get it, because you got to think I've got grid coordinates in it and that stuff like that. Like I've got.
Well, but I mean, like from a strike standpoint,
Oh.
like if your inventory, you got 5 stacked assets, and all of a sudden it's like, what the fuck happened to my? You dropped it somewhere or whatever. Like, would you be shit out of luck, or could you still pull it
No,
off?
you could still pull it off. Yeah. One, it's never happened to me, but two, you could still do it because as you start getting so locked in that repetition, and a lot of the hits were the same exact call signs. So the call signs, their standard kind of block.
Yeah.
So you're like, okay, cool. And if you really need help, you can ask one of the pilots to go, hey, can you take the stack?
Oh, gotcha.
Meaning they'll help you deconflict, because as assets are coming in, they're hearing them before me, because they have a more direct line of sight.
Yeah.
So they can, as they're coming inbound, they can adjust their altitude and tell them, hey, I need you over here at whatever point at this altitude. And then go ahead, and you can also give them the brief stack mark control are the different things you can give them, but then they can give you an update like, hey, right now things are going to be a little quiet because they're on the offset right now walking into the target.
Yeah. On these big coordinated missions where there's multiple air assets, in the pre-brief stage where you guys are coordinating prior to going out, do you ever meet those guys like face to face or are they coming from different bases?
Sometimes, like, the B-1s used to fly in from Al-Udeid, so you'd never meet them other than on a VTC, telecon or something like that. When the A-10s were out of Kandahar and we were operating out of Kandahar, you can go do that.
Like you knew who you were talking to, and
Yeah.
That's got to be kind of cool and almost like rewarding in a way, maybe.
It is.
Yeah.
It is, and it also means that there's more effort too.
Yeah, because they face
to face, they know who you are. You've been at the chow hall together.
Yeah.
And now they know, that call sign, and they can hear your voice.
Yeah.
And they want to work even harder for you.
Wow. Ever get salty with any of them? Like where they fuck up or you fuck
Oh
up?
yeah. Oh yeah.
What's like fist, like
No,
go to
nothing like
blows?
that. But like somebody that's being a pain in the ass on the radio or something like that and not really working with you, you're like, all right, you need to clear the airspace. Well, I'm tasked to you for the next couple hours. I am not going to talk to you.
Yeah.
Beat it. So you can send them home.
So you have the authority to fucking send them home?
Yeah.
Can they say, no, I'm not going, and keep flying, or like you can tell them to go?
You can tell, hey, clear the airspace.
Yeah, and
Like
they
that-
have to
and
do
that-
it?
yeah.
No shit.
Yeah.
So you can tell them to fucking beat it, and they have to do it.
Yeah.
That's why.
I think I've only done that once.
Yeah. Wow.
But higher headquarters, right? They're on SATCOM. So I remember I could see some 60s, Medivac 60s off in the distance, and they were just circling. And we had a Medivac that needed it. And that was our birds to get some of these dudes out.
Yeah.
And they're circling. I'm talking to them. And they're like, yeah, we just can't get approval to enter the airspace. Well, I owned the ROS that was closer to me. I didn't own that airspace. Some Canadian at the headquarters did. And the guy wasn't answering the radio. So I cleared him in. I was like, dude, we got to get these guys out here. Come on in, picks these guys up. You're good. I'm not firing any artillery, nothing like that. Bring them on in. And so they exfilled, and then 30 minutes later, that guy wanted to talk to me on SATCOM. So I've already been out in the field for, 3 weeks at this point, just doing stuff. And he proceeds to try and chew my ass over SATCOM about clearing aircraft into space without owning the airspace.
Yeah.
And I total Will Ferrell blacked out on what I said to him, but I fucking started yelling down the mic about, like, I got these goddamn fucking Medivacs that are trying to get in to get our people out, and you're sitting here fucking off at the chow hall. Like, I just went off. It was just like, Roger.
Yeah.
Like,
Fuck you then.
yeah. It was like, okay, cool. I was like, priority was getting my fucking dudes out.
Yeah.
Not dealing with this guy.
Yeah. Wow.